Now tonight we want to move to some confusion about the rules for drones in and around the Bills Stadium on game days. Orchard Park Police posted on Facebook recently that there's been a big uptick in drone use, especially when there are events at Highmark Stadium. The police department expressing some concerns, saying that it is imperative that no unauthorized aircraft is airborne during any Highmark Stadium event within a 2-mile radius of the stadium 4 hours prior to, during, and 4 hours after said event. This goes on to say, quote, the drone will be confiscated and the operator may be arrested. Well, here's the problem. The FAA, not local police, actually control the airspace. The Orchard Park Ordinance doesn't have anything to do with flying your drone near the stadium. They're not allowed to do that. Instead, it regulates takeoffs and landings. The rules for actually flying a drone on game days must comply with what you see on your screen. The FAA's TFRs, or temporary flight restrictions. For NFL games, you can't fly within 3 miles of a stadium 1 hour before kickoff until 1 hour after it ends. And there is no automatic TFR for other events at the stadium like concerts. So what Orchard Park Police said simply isn't true. It is not illegal to fly a drone near the stadium except 1 hour before until 1 hour after one of those NFL games. And joining us now to help us kind of better understand this is Jim Muldoon. He is an attorney with Harris Beach and leads the firm's Unmanned Aircraft Systems group, also a former Navy pilot and recreational drone user. Sir, thanks for coming on and helping us better understand this.
Good afternoon, Michael. Nice to have you.
So I want to start kind of big picture. We know that drones have become very popular, prices have come down, but they can lead to some obvious safety concerns at big events, right? We understand why authorities, not just here in Western New York, but in some other places around the country, are trying to regulate these things. But how difficult is it when you have a municipality like that trying to supersede the FAA, and when it seems like sometimes our police don't even know kind of how the rules are supposed to work?
Well, the social media post was a little inaccurate, but it is fairly clear due to the FAA's exclusive control of the airspace that the use of drones or UASs, unmanned aerial systems, is prohibited around stadiums where there's a gathering of at least 30,000 people for, as you said, 1 hour before to 1 hour after the game time and 3 nautical miles. Now, while a municipality does not have the ability to control the operation of a vehicle in the airspace, they do have a legitimate interest in setting restrictions on the activities on the ground. And that's why the local Orchard Park town ordinance prohibits the taking off or landing of drones within a 2-mile radius of the stadium for a longer period of 4 hours before to 4 hours after. And that falls within the general police powers of a municipality dealing with issues like zoning, land use, and public safety. So the local ordinance doesn't restrict the flying. The FAA does that. But the local ordinance does restrict the ground operations of taking off and landing within their municipal area.
Which leads me.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. It kind of leads perfectly into our next question, because the difficulty that Orchard Park is having with this, and I'll show our viewers a map right now. I know that you can't see it, but the stadium is in the town of Orchard Park where we have this ordinance, but literally just feet away is the town of Hamburg, which does not have such an ordinance. And so it's very easy just right at the ECC lots near the stadium to legally take off and land and then legally fly your drone, again, up until the point at which those FAA regulations come in.
Right, 1 hour before through 1 hour after the game. Yes, that would be an interesting little problem with the ordinance trying to control all of the airspace or all of the ground operations if that's beyond the boundaries of the town.
And finally, Jim, I'm almost out of time, but I just want to ask you, again, we understand why police are trying to do this. We understand why the NFL has pushed the FAA to try to enforce these rules, because drones can be dangerous, right? And especially because so many people out there who are operating these. Do you think there is any chance that the FAA will further crack down or will extend their rules or will take into account the problems that we're seeing at some stadiums and big events with so many drones being out?
The FAA, being part of the government, has all kinds of publication issues with respect to changing their regulations. If they find that there is a legitimate concern of safety of not only the people in the stadium, but the people around the stadium, obviously there's a big crowd around the stadium both before and after the event, they will take appropriate action to ensure the public safety and the operation of vehicles in the airspace.
I should point out I did email the Orchard Park Police Chief yesterday. Still haven't heard back to see if maybe they'll update and clarify that Facebook post. Jim Muldoon has been our guest. He's an attorney and leads the Unmanned Aircraft Systems group at Harris Beach Law Firm. Thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Michael.